This is how we do it.
This is how we do it.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
This is how we do it.
Hello and welcome to this instructional video. My name is John Keller, aka the IT Beast, and today we are going to be going over how to install and do some basic configuration of CentOS. Well, CentOS is essentially the free version of the Red Hat Linux operating system. But you're going, wait a second, isn't Linux free? Well, yes, Linux is free, but the Red Hat version of Linux charges a support fee in order for you to use their product. So these people have gone out of the way to actually provide something that is essentially free to be paid for. If you don't pay for it when you use it, they'll give you a bunch of all these nags, how you need this register and pay for support. So somebody out there decided to go ahead and make the free version of this, which is CentOS. And the actual difference between the two operating systems as far as how it operates are exactly the same, even right down to the versioning numbers. So if you see CentOS 6.4, guess what? Red Hat Linux is using 6.4 of their operating system. The operating system can be used for server, workstation, and even desktop PC environments within a business or software development community. It's not really meant to be used at home. If you want something like that, you may want to consider downloading Ubuntu or a variation of that, because that's more or less aimed at that community. Okay, so what would be the minimum system requirements for a Linux operating system, or in this case CentOS? Well, it's not that resource intensive. You need a basic Intel Pentium 4 or AMD equivalent processor at 3 gigahertz, 1 gig of RAM, at least 4 gigabytes of hard drive space for the installation, and just a basic 128 meg video card that comes with most systems these days. I have on the right hand side of my system requirements as I would call the green specs if you want to go higher, but again, the minimum will do the job just fine for installing and configuring Linux. Alright, now this slide here is going over how you obtain this. Now I am going to go through and show you how to download it through the website, but just want to make sure you guys have some important information first. One, you need to know where to go. It's www.centos.org. The download link, which will take you to another link with a bunch of other mirror sites, and then the 2 ISO files that you'll need to download. The first one in particular is what you need to install the OS on your computer. After that, if you would like, you can go ahead and donate to the project. Again, these people do work for free, so maybe a few dollars in there will, make you feel better and make them feel better for sure. And then you can also register. Again, it's optional. You do not have to register, but I would recommend you do that. The reason why is that if you want to go back later on and get support for whatever you're doing with your CentOS operating system, they may have the answer for you on one of their community boards. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and open our web browser. We're going to put in www.centos.org. Hit enter. Okay, so now we've arrived at their non-flashy website. Again, this is a free project. People don't get paid here, so it does not leave a lot of money for using like Adobe Flash in order to make their sites prettier. But for our purposes and their purposes, this does the job just fine. Alright, now we're going to go down to where it says CentOS 6 releases, because we are going to be installing CentOS 6.4, which came out about 6 months ago. And we're going to choose x86 _64. This is the most popular choice, and about 90% of the time you're going to end up wanting to go to, because hardware in the last 7-8 years is built on this architecture. The 386 is for your older processor, like your original Pentium 4s, Pentium 3s, 2s, and 1s, of course. And that is tailored to work on those that hardware. But those computers are old and they don't really exist as much anymore. So let's just go ahead and choose this. Alright, so now we are on the CentOS mirror site, and as you can see there's a bunch of links here that you can choose. I'm going to go ahead and use this one. I've used it in the past, CentOS.someimage.com, and I'm going to go to another list which will give me different versions. You can run CentOS off of a live CD if you want to. If you just want to try it out, you don't necessarily even have to load it. You can put it in your physical computer and just run for that session, run it off your DVD-ROM, or you can install the software, which we are going to do today. We will need to download the two DVDs. One is the one I specified earlier, the CentOS 64 DVD1.iso, and the supplement DVD2.iso. Do not download the torrent files. Those sites are always suspect and are not trustworthy. So we are going to go ahead and choose the first one. Now the first one is 4 gigs, and depending on bandwidth of the website, because once again this is a free thing, these people volunteer their bandwidth, their websites, their hardware may not be the fastest in the world, so it could take maybe a little time to do this. So we will go ahead and hit OK. Now it's asking me, where do you want to put this? I'm going to temporarily put it right here after I get rid of something. Alright, so we're going to put it on the D drive, or E drive in my case. Save. As you saw, it is now downloading. Alright, now we are going to download the second DVD, which again is the supplement. That one isn't as big, and you will not be using this in this tutorial today. This is for later on if you want to add certain items, pull different software off of it. This is what this is for. But most of the time you're going to be able to pull it off via the internet. So again, this will not be used. So again, we're going to hit OK. And you're going to remember where you're at, so when you're ready you can access the software. Hit save. Alright, now that we are finished with that, I'm going to, like I said in my slide, I'm going to show you where, if you want to, and again this is totally voluntary, you do not have to donate, the software is still absolutely free. But like I pointed out, these people do not work for free. So, I mean, they do work for free, and they do need our dollars in order to make stuff happen. So if you want to, you go back to the non-flashy web page and hit donate. And it gives you a list of means where you can either download, you can go ahead and make a donation, or I'll even tell you how you can provide hardware to help them out. Maybe you can become an image site yourself, or you can, again, totally optional, you can register. And I do recommend you register. And again, everything's still free, but then this way, if you need to post a question or maybe find some answers on your CentOS, you can go here and consult one of their community boards. Alright, so now we are done downloading the software. So right now I've opened up my VMware Player, and we are going to go ahead and create a new virtual machine. Alright, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to choose I will install the operating system layer and hit next. Go to where it says Linux. We're going to choose the CentOS 64-bit version for the hardware drive. And if you want to, even is available, you can even choose Red Hat Linux Enterprise 6 64-bit container, and it will still work. But since CentOS is already clicked, we're going to go ahead and use the CentOS 64-bit. Now we're going to create a virtual folder for our CentOS installation. Once I can get to the folder I want to put it in. Alright. We'll use virtual machines. Hit OK. That's where I want to back it up at. Give it some cool name like CentOS Test 2. I know that's the best name that you'll ever hear in your life, right? Well, it does the job for what we're trying to accomplish here. Hit copy, put for your location. It will create that subfolder, see it, CentOS Test 2, and your main folder, and you'll hit next. Alright, so I'm going to choose store it on a single disk. I'm going to use 40 gigs, twice the 20 it's saying here. Alright, here are the settings thus far, but we will hit customize hardware. Okay, for memory, 1 gig is sufficient. I'm going to go ahead though, and I'm going to give it a little bit more. So if memory is a problem, you can leave it at that default. Processor, again, I'm going to leave it at 1. There's no reason to change that. Alright, for CD, we are going to do the ISO image file. So we're going to go hit click, hit browse. We will then go to the DVD1 ISO file, which is your installation disk. Hit open. Now, if you are still prone to just using a physical, media, you want to use a physical DVD, all you need to do is get your favorite burning software, and you can go ahead and make yourself a physical DVD, put it in your DVD drive, and then you can use physical drive. Either way will work. Alright, since I'm using Player 5 and not Player 6, it still has where it will show you the default of a floppy drive. I'm going to go ahead and remove that because nobody uses floppies anymore. At least no one from this planet. For a network connection, you're going to want to choose for the easiest way to connect to the internet with your virtual, just click on the bridged. And what that does, of course, is it connects to your physical NIC card for any kind of network connections. And then we will leave all these other where it's defaulted at. Hit finish. Alright, as you can see now, we are ready to go. You can hit play virtual machine and it will start booting up. Alright, so we are at the beginning of the installation. I'm going to go ahead and blow up the screen. Not literally, but you understand. Alright, so it's giving me some choices here. I'm going to go with the very first one. I'm going to install or upgrade an existing system. And it's going through and it's loading its initial files. Alright, we are given the option if we want to test the installation disk or skip. Best thing to do is just skip it, because if it checks it, it'll take literally forever to do so. And it's telling us it found the local media, which I am so thrilled to see. Alright, Alright, so we're at the beginning of the splash screen here. We're going to hit next. We'll hit English if you're in English, in the US, or if you're in the UK, you can hit the United Kingdom or whatever country you may be viewing this in. It's asking us for the appropriate keyboard, which again for me is going to be US. Okay, it's asking what kind of storage devices I'm going to use. We're just going to use the basic for right now for this video, and for our purposes that's all we need. It can, however, attach SCSIs, different types of hard drive SANs, but that's a lot more advanced, and that's something we don't need to be messing with right now. So hit next. Alright, so it's asking if it can go ahead and reformat this drive, and there's nothing on there I want. So make sure that if this is a real computer that you have cleared everything you want off this drive, because it will be deleted. So once we've done that, hit yes. It's asking for our host name. The host name, in this case, we're not going to be doing domains. We're just going to give it a normal test name or a host name. We're going to call it CentOS Test 2. Again, the best one in the universe. Now, if you want to go ahead, if you have an IP scheme or whatnot, you can go ahead and hit Configure Network. Alright, it will go with the Ether 0, and you can hit Edit, and you will go to where it says IPv4 settings. Now, for normal, I'm using this at home, just testing what I want to test. DHCP is fine, don't touch it. But if you want to later on get, sporadic here, you can go ahead and hit manual, which then you can enter a static IP. But again, for purpose we are using it for, we're just going to do DHCP. Ensure that IPv6 is off, and we'll hit cancel because we haven't changed anything. I just wanted to show you. So we're going to hit next. Alright, time zone. So depending on what time zone you're on, you can go ahead and find that. It's not where it's like Pacific or Eastern. No, it goes by state or city. So what we're going to do is hit America, Los Angeles, at least for me. And again, if you're elsewhere, then you choose what's appropriate for what your local time system is. And leave this check. System clock uses UTC, which is for it to get its timing from. Alright, root password. If those of you who have used Linux before, I don't need to explain this to you, or Unix. For people who are just starting this, the root password is the built-in administrative account for your Linux box. This is the account that you can do the most damage with and you want to be careful with. But you will also need this to configure and do other things with your Linux box. So you're going to go ahead and give it a root password. Hit next. Alright, so it's telling me that I'm using a dictionary word. Well, that's fine. You can go ahead and use it anyways, or if you want, you can use those capital letters, numbers, asterisks, but for what we need to do today, we don't need to worry about that, so we're going to go ahead and use anyways. Alright. There are different options you can do. You can even dual boot. So like if you're running Windows on your physical machine, you want to add Linux to it, you can go ahead and use one of these options. You can use the free space that's on that computer, so you can clear a partition on your existing computer, and you can dual boot it if you want to do that. Personally, I would stick with using a virtual if you're even thinking about dual booting, because it's a lot less chance of damaging your computer. And since we are not in the age where we don't have virtual appliances anymore, it's really an option I would skip altogether. We're just going to go ahead and use all space for right now. Again, this is just a basic I'm showing you. So I myself also learning how to use Linux. So I call myself I'm a Linux Padawan. Another reason why I am making this video is I like to share the pain with everybody else. So if I'm having to learn this, then you know what? Reap the rewards for my mistakes. So right now it's going ahead and formatting the drive. There's different files that it will do, and since you said use all space, it just did it for me. However, at a later date, and I will also show you later on where you can go to get the more detailed install. You can find out what those things are. Now, again, with Linux, it's nice is you can use this as a server, you can use this as a desktop, you can use this as a developer workstation. I'm going to go ahead and hit Software Developer Station. Okay. Where it says additional software repositories, you can add what's called a repository. For those people who are Windows people out there, this is kind of like a Windows update. A repository is where you can connect to in order to update your operating system as well as download different software applications to add to your Linux installation. What it means customize later or customize now. You can add the different software options now, or you can do it later. I'm going to go ahead and do it now. Okay, applications. It's asking for the different internet options. Do you want to use internet applications? You can see what the options are. Okay, evolution. Evolution is basically your Outlook for Linux. In fact, it can even work with Exchange. There's also Thunderbird you can use too, which will automatically install. You can also, if this is an older version of that program, you can get the updated version at a later date. For now, I'm going to go ahead and just choose the evolution. Office productivity. Okay, by that, it uses what used to be known as OpenOffice, and now it's called LibreOffice. After Oracle bought Sun System Out, there was this big break between Oracle and Sun as far as the OpenOffice project. While it still exists in name only, the main contributors to that project left and started LibreOffice, but the code is exactly the same. And as you know, this if you're anybody familiar with OpenOffice, it's just a free Office suite. We can do Word documents, Excel, and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and click all that stuff on. Now I know for a fact this is using an older version of Libre. You can download Libre 4 from their website, and I will cover that in another tutorial later down the road. Because installing software on Linux is not like installing software on Windows. Windows, you hit an executable. Linux, you have to do a bunch of hoops in order to install the software. So we're going to go ahead and check base systems. As you can see, you have the different options here you can look over. Legacy Unix capability is a good thing to have. Again, if you want to do iSCSI storage, but this is out of the scope for what I'm teaching you today. If you want to use databases, it has MySQL. You can go ahead and do that. Alright, this is what's going to be available on your desktop. What will be used is called the GNOME desktop. I can also use the KDE desktop. It's a Windows-like desktop that will show up. All right, development for you software developer people out there. There's Eclipse. Not going to worry about that. Languages, we're going to leave that alone. And we're not going to mess with load balancer. Okay, servers. Like I said again, you can, and again, it's scope out of the training for what we're doing today. You can create yourself a email server, a share server, a backup server. There's a lot of things you can do. You can even have virtualization on here, which I'm not going to install today on that. Or you can even have web services like an FTP web server. Again, there's just so much you can do with this once you know how to use it. So we're going to go ahead and hit next. Alright, as you can see, we are starting the installation process now. Alright, so we're at the post end of the install. We're just waiting for it to finish up the bootloader, which is what Linux will boot up upon when you activate the machine. Okay, so it's done with the basic install. Now it's asking you to reboot. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. We're going to go ahead and reboot. Alright, it's hitting the welcome screen. And we will click forward. Okay, here's their license agreement. As you can see, it's not very big. And it's covered under the GPL version 2. Go ahead and hit you agree. Alright, username. Well, for the sake of the video, I'm going to go ahead and create a user. The username will be CDW. The full name will be Connected Digital. Password is whatever you want. Again, it will run that dictionary on it and let you know if you are using a dictionary password. Now, don't let that alarm you. As long as you know it's not like Harry 2 or something like that, go ahead and use it. But it's warning you is letting you know that, hey, it's not encrypted enough to withstand too big of hacking, which again, for what we're doing, we don't need to worry about that. You have two different options here. You can use network login. This only applies if you're logging into something like, say, NIS or with Windows Active Directory. See, it even gives you the different protocols for that. LDAP, NIS, and even Winbind are all part of that to where you can log in. But since we are not doing that, we're not going to worry about that. And like I told you, it says you chose a weak password. And you go, sure, what the heck. It's not going to kill anybody. Alright, so you're going to probably want to skip this for right now because it's already in. You can choose your own time servers if you want. This is going to probably be on the normal internet, so it will automatically go out and get its correct timing. You can leave it unchecked. You can set the time and date for whatever you feel like it. Totally up to you. Click forward. Alright, so it's information to do an auto enable kdump. So hit OK. Alright, this kernel dump is relative to different processes within the Linux, and since I'm only using a gig and a half, I guess it's not sufficient to do a KDump if it needs to. It doesn't matter. It will still work fine. You don't need to worry about it. You can go ahead and click finish. Later on, if you want to bump your memory up to 2 gigs, you probably will not see that anymore. Alright, so now it's going ahead and it's going to reboot itself. And when it's done rebooting, we'll end up in the GNOME login screen. See? I am now logged in as Connected Digital. I will put in my password. Before I do that though, just want to show you a few choices. Do not worry about this. We're not using RPC binds right now, so you can hit close. That's a little warning of a boot up if it finds anything wrong. You can choose to change the desktop from GNOME to KDE. KDE was the first like X terminals Windows desktop. GNOME is rather recent and is getting more popular. We're just going to use the GNOME desktop for right now. And then you have 2 types of login. You can, here, let me cancel this for a second. You can do what you just put in yourself, or you can click other. You can log in as root, and it'd be ROT, and then whatever your password is, you'd hit login. But we'll just go ahead and use Connected Digital. The other would also be what you would use too if you were using a network login like LDAP or NIS. So we're going to go ahead and log in. Now again, this is just a basic. I'll show you around, and anything more than that, I'm going to reference you to someone on YouTube called the Uber Penguin. It's what I've been learning from. He's got a whole bunch of instructional videos going from creating your own account, installing CentOS to creating DNS accounts, the whole 9 yards. But for right now, I'm just more of a familiarization is what I'm doing here. When you get to the desktop, you can hit accessories. You can note all the different accessories you will have. It has basic games. It's got different graphic tools you can use. Internet comes with Firefox web browser. Also, there Conquer. That's another one. It also has a messaging service. Office. Okay, as I was telling you earlier, Evolution is the Linux version of Outlook. LibreOffice, and again, this is the new face of OpenOffice, which went away because of Oracle. And you have the different programming softwares in here. You can even burn CDs if you feel like burning CDs. It has a movie player. Has your different system tools. Places, this is the different directories on your Linux hard drive. System goes over the different preferences. Screensaver, you can change the background if you feel like it. Has a built-in firewall which you can turn on or off, whatever you choose. Now normally after you've gotten through loading installation for the first time, you would go ahead and you would click on Software Update, which is basically the Linux version of Windows Update. And it will go out and say, okay, this is all the components that needs to be updated. But we're going to skip that for right now because this virtual does not have a connection to the internet. And what it does, it goes out to those repositories I was telling you about, and it downloads those components. So after you've done that, then you can go on doing whatever you want. Now please note, you have, if for your Linux people, it's open terminal, and you can go in and use the command line stuff. So like for instance right now we're in the terminal, and if we want to get to root, which is where everything happens, and again I'm sorry, we got to do SU first. Type in the super user, then the password is your root password, so you go in there. Okay, when you see that pound sign, that means you're en route and you can do whatever configuration you want. Again, I am going to direct you to someone who can help you with that. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go ahead, exit out. We're going to shut her down. So you go to System, Shut Down, and we are going to shut down. You can also hibernate or restart, whichever you like to do. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and open up our web browser and go to YouTube. And in the search engine, we're going to type in the Urban Penguin. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click on his name. And the ones we're looking for are the Learning CentOS Linux videos. Go ahead and do that. And right here we'll have all the different Linux, specifically on CentOS. Now it says 6.3, but there is not a big difference between 6.3 and 6.4. And he has, as you can see, all the different videos here. I know of at least 30 of them that he's done just on CentOS. So this is what I would recommend if you want to become more proficient in CentOS Linux. Watch these videos, practice on your virtual. This is the man to see. He has his own website, the urbanpenguin.com, which used to have all his videos hosted on there, but he just renovated it recently. So this is about the only place that I know of that you can get to him at. See, there's his website right here. You can just click on that, urbanpenguin.com. But like I said, for the CentOS stuff, you're going to want to stick with the YouTube page. So anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this video, that you've learned something from it. And if you like it, please click like. And if you really like, you can subscribe. I hope to see you again. And thank you for your time.